Yeah, that's right. You read that title right. We reached over level 1000 in Stream Raiders dungeons, which is something that has never been done before. I mean, the highest level anybody has ever achieved was level 156 before this event. In fact, only one person ever really reached past 100, that being yours truly, of course. I know, right? I'm the best.
I haven't slept in 2 weeks. Non-stop dungeons. I haven't seen the sun in so long. I'm becoming whiter by the second. Help!
Anyways, before we get into the video, please remember to please like and subscribe, as well as hit that bell icon if you guys want to get notifications on my video. It would help me out a lot as we want to hit YouTube affiliate at some point in the future. Anyways, back to the footage. Now, I'm gonna go over step by step and explain to you guys exactly how all of this was possible. Which boons I used, what units were the strongest, how I got lucky with a lot of the levels, and a lot of the other stuff. And plus the reason why a lot of other captains were able to get to 100 or past 100 this dungeons. Now, this boon combo was the real game changer. We started off by mentioning that this particular dungeon started off with classic comeback, not the weaker version, which you can only use once every 3 levels if it dies. Nope, we got the OP version, which means we get to use our common units every battle, even if they die. So basically, we have unlimited common units, meaning we can spam warriors, tanks, archers, flags, and rogues every single battle. Automatically a strong start, and that makes it even stronger when the real boon combos come in, when you add in Against All Odds and Lance of Ruin. I mean, 9 seconds of taking no damage for all melee units and giving warriors AoE damage. It was extremely powerful. They shredded through units like they were butter. They were basically unlimited mini barbarians. Also mini busters, since most warriors level 20 and up are vengeful. Now, the thing you might not realize yet is that this becomes super broken when you count in the fact that there are several warrior buffing boons, melee buffing boons, and common unit buffing boons. Combining them all together makes the warriors just extremely strong. They became the strongest units in the game, practically unkillable in the first 9 seconds, and doing so much damage they could shred a 10,000 health unit before they could even start taking damage. Every map became child's play, and since the implementation of unlimited dupes, many of my community were able to spam 3 warriors every battle. Everybody who didn't have 3 warriors were just spamming some extra flags and tanks to make them even stronger. Even the hardest bosses in the dungeon were being destroyed by them. However, not every map could be handled by warriors alone. The War Beast boons were vital to survive the Phoenix Buster boss maps. Those warriors were unable to handle the sheer numbers, and the Phoenixes were able to get to them. However, with the War Beast boons, those maps weren't really an issue, as they could spawn a ton of epic skeletons that the Phoenixes just would never be able to kill. With all this combined, we were unbeatable. We were shredding every map at the point where I could start pretty much every map early. The hardest and most dangerous map was the Caterpillar boss map, which was still fairly easy compared to its difficulty without the strong warriors. However, getting those OP boons so early allowed me to speedrun every map until around 48. Once I got all the boons, every map was speedrunnable except for a few boss maps. Now, this dungeon was intentionally made easier compared to the other dungeons because it was sponsored by Jack in the Box. It was a Jack in the Box dungeons, meaning they knew they had an influx of newer players, so they made it easier intentionally. It is likely one of the reasons they brought the OP classic comeback and not the nerf version. They also made some early changes to nerf the earlier levels of the dungeons, so instead of losing level 9 to upscaled maps, it's more likely to lose around level 15, especially if you don't have the right boons. With these improvements, they also removed maps that were impossible to beat this dungeon and kept Mega Explosive, a massively overpowered enemy boon, out. With those 2 main things out of the way, the dungeons practically became easy. With the strength of the warrior boons, a nerf to early dungeon maps, and no impossible to beat challenge map, it was only a matter of time till we hit sky high records the like of Stream Raiders has never scene. The first day of the dungeon, I went 24 hours. My first attempt went a little poorly and I lost around level 22 to a fairly upscaled map. However, my second attempt went really well and we got strong warrior combo boons really early. The first day, it was absolutely insane, especially my second run. For the second time in history, we hit level 100, but it was also the second time anyone had ever collected all of the boons. We ended up collecting all the common boons at around 50 something, all the uncommon boons at around 90 something, and the final rare boon at around 148 or 149, don't specifically remember. After collecting them all, I went on to beat my past record of 156 and I stopped at 169 and went to bed. The first day was insane. No one was even close to beating me. I went to bed in peace. Then I woke back up the next day, checked my phone, and what do you know? Hooks is getting near my record already. Oh boy. My peace was not long-lived and I was immediately back to grinding the dungeons, with Hooks about passing me. However, he took a short 5-hour sleep, that's right, sleep, so I was able to pass him again. I hit level 200, but Hooks by then had woken up and was close behind. I was going to stay up super late to push to keep ahead. Both luckily and unfortunately for me, the game bugged out and no one could play the game for 5 to 6 hours.
Nice.
Thank you, Stream Raiders. So I went to bed, not peacefully, and was worried all night. This leads me to the incident where I almost lost the dungeon. You see, when I woke up, the game was no longer broken and I could run my dungeon battles. But there's some background information that you should probably know. You see, I usually run a few offline and some online campaign maps before I get into the dungeons, just to keep enough people, or to get enough people into the dungeon. However, I couldn't start my offline maps yet until I ran my dungeon battle from yesterday, the one that I couldn't run because the game was bugged. So I ended up running the dungeon battle offline, but big dummy me hit the next battle button.
That's really bad.
So instead of going to offline, I went into more dungeons.
Panic.
I freak out. I'm not gonna lie. I had a fucking heart attack, all right? A rush of adrenaline hit me and I was wide awake. You see, in my mind, what's going through is the dungeon was over. I fucked up. I hit the button. I just lost a level 200 dungeon to sleepy me hitting the next dungeon button because I thought there was a boon. And then it hit me. I was on the easiest map in the game.
Not panic.
Even offline, I ended up getting about 45 units, which kind of is insane to me, especially for the first battle of the day. 45 units, people placing with me, true heroes. We ended up spawning over 800 skeletons from the war beast we were able to place and winning the battle.
That's really good.
And you know what they say, nothing wakes you up better than a mini heart attack first thing in the morning.
Nice.
After that, I switched to offline battles and I promised myself that I would never do that ever again. During that morning, Hooks ended up having a rough time starting up his dungeon and ended up losing at around 220 plus. With Hooks out of the race, I had a bit more sleep time to my schedule. My peace was once again found and I could rest easily. Until that is when Ovi
Let's go, guys.
and Toko
Hello there?
started getting past 100 as well. Fast forward to the 4th day of the dungeon, Ovi gets past level 100, giving me about a 300 level lead, and Toko also starts getting in the high levels. I push on for a couple days, starting to get tired and bored of the dungeons. I know every map by heart, and have started using less and less war beasts as many of them are dying off. I decided that I would take a day off. Ovi was 300 behind, Toko about 400 behind, and I had some wiggle room. I didn't want to overexert myself staying up late, and I was not doing any more 24-hour streams like the first day. Knowing I had some wiggle room, I took a day off and rested. About a week passed and the realization hits me. It's going to take another week to get to 1,000. The other realization has hit me that I could possibly be having this race for months. With no way of losing the dungeon, it was a race of attrition. Whoever played more dungeons the fastest would get the top dungeon spot, which, mind you, has no significance other than bragging rights, but I have no intention of giving up my bragging rights, and I never will. Luckily for me and all of the other captains, the dev stated during the dev stream that the dungeon would end when the next dungeon started. Previously, you could play a dungeon infinitely as long as you didn't lose, meaning this dungeon could last forever, even if another dungeon was released. However, the issue was that the next dungeon wouldn't start for another month or two, depending on the developers. We had no idea to know when the next dungeon started, so it was impossible to know when this dungeon would end. So we basically had until the next dungeon to get as far as possible. Anyways, knowing the dungeon would end in a week since the dungeon only lasts about 2 weeks, I was stressed for time aiming to get to 1,000 before the dungeon ended. Plus, I had Ovi and Toko on my back. After the day off, Ovi was 200 behind and Toko was 300 behind. I did my best to run the battles as fast as possible in order to stay ahead, especially since I wasn't running longer streams than Ovi, and I was less concerned about Toko as he took more and more time off because of the multiple 24-hour streams starting to hit him. The course was set and I was slowly but surely jogging over to the finish line. We kept stringing long hours, doing fast battle and using all the broken tactics we've talked about so far. The days became numbered and every minute I spent playing dungeons became more and more of a chore. No boons left, warriors at the front, warbeasts at the back, Phoenix map, centipede commanders, orc dramata, then back to the Phoenix map. Oh, look, the next map. So this time we're gonna do, oh yeah, warriors at the front, warbeast at the back, and on to the next one. Oh, we get a boon this level? Ha! There's no boons left. There's nothing left. We're gonna keep doing this forever, huh? Just using the same units without any boons on the same map with the same tactics. Warriors at the front, warbeast at the back, warriors at the front, warbeast at the back, warriors at the front. Warbeasts at the back. Oh shit, guys, we hit 1,000! Would you look at that? It took way too long to do. It's only bragging rights and doesn't really mean anything, but holy shit, we're here, and I am so happy. However, I wasn't done yet. You think this mad lad would stop at 1,000? No sirree, not me. My goal is to get the 2,000. Wouldn't be Glaceon 2,000 if I didn't get the 2,000, right? My only goal was to get as far as possible within the time left. You see, this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, I know I said that last time I got to 100, but this time I mean it. I don't think we will ever be able to get past 1,000 again. Knowing this, I wanted to set a record in the stars that no one would ever be able to reach. So we kept going. Same tactics, same maps, same grind. Until level 1369 happened. You see, it was just a normal, easy elemental map. However, it was one of the tougher ones, and we just started up for the day. We had enough units to win, but little to no warbeasts left, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't paying that much attention to the battle details. At this point, I could care less about the planning and was focused on another game. Also, it was my birthday, so I was a bit distracted, enjoying time with my chat. The battle ensues. Both armies clashed against each other. Their rogues with the ice buffs were starting to kill off a few of our range. Our warriors were struggling to kill off a lot of the enemy front line. The main enemy force was filled with ranged units and their tanks were buying them enough time. Once our warriors and the enemy front line were gone, it became a ranged fight. The main difference is that our rogues couldn't get stuck behind our archers and theirs could. Their rogues trickled out slowly, but without a front line, they started to kill off a lot of our ranged units. This was almost fatal, but we still had hope. With some epic archers alive and flying rogues slowly killing their backline, we would eventually win over time. However, in true Stream Raiders fashion, the timer started. A little background information. At the end of the timer, if both sides are still fighting, the side with the most units automatically wins. So it doesn't really matter if you were going to win or if they were going to win. Whoever had the most units when the timer was up, won. So with the enemy having 30 to 40 units stuck in the back, unable to move forward, and us having a lack of splash damage or busters, we were not looking good. The clock is ticking. Elementals shooting magical arrows at our innocent but brave flag bearers who stood strong, holding their banners of war as our own steadfast archers were shooting and being shot at in an all-out battle. The flags and archers were able to spawn enough skeletons to eventually win. The victory, however unlikely, was possible. We were starting to turn the tides. The timer stops. It was over. We lost. The nightmare and long grind was gone. I was still pretty salty at how we lost, but what's done was done. At least we lost on a nice level.
Nice.
And there you have it, the story of how we got to level 1369. I would like to thank everybody who participated and played along, especially those in my top 50. Please remember to like and subscribe to the video, or Above Doge will haunt you forever until you do. Okay, bye!